Hertz dumps 20,000 EVs from their fleet. We getting a Civic hybrid and an RX-9? We think not. Well, grab your turbos and your boosted juice, because, well, this is boosted juice and we're about to make things go boom. So first off on the docket, Hertz said they're getting rid of 20,000 of their EV rental cars. This mostly includes Tesla Model 3s, and the main reason why they're doing this is because there seem to be a lot of reliability issues with them. Now, a lot of EVs were chosen because you didn't have as many powertrain issues in general, but in this case, it seems like that's not really true. I mean, maybe with the powertrain, but with the suspension and the steering. With Tesla specifically, that's a huge problem because their steering and their suspension is terrible. We'll get more into that later though. This number of 20,000 vehicles is about 40% of Hertz's fleet, which is a really big deal to be dumping that many EVs. And according to Motortrend, Hertz is getting rid of these vehicles and selling them in hopes to recoup some of their costs put into them, and they're gonna buy more ICEs with that money.
There is a new 2025 Honda Civic, and now it's getting a hybrid engine. If it's the same hybrid engine from the Accord and the CR-V, I believe, it will have over 200 horsepower, and that's more than the SI. So, in theory, if you want an SI without the manual, just get the hybrid and you get good fuel economy. The last time Honda sold a Civic hybrid was in 2015, which I know most of us think is like, oh, okay, that was like 5 years ago, right? No, guys, what are we talking about? It was 9 years ago. That was almost 10 years ago. 2015 wasn't 10 years old. Oh my gosh.
Next up on the docket is a little bit of news about how Chrysler just gave us some updates on their new platform. Now, this vehicle platform will support at least 8 models, including a SUV, a crossover SUV, an off-roader 4x4, a sport car, a family sedan, and luxury cars. Now, about sharing a platform, there's 2 ways to reduce the cost of development for a car. You can either develop them in tandem with other companies, so with something like the Subaru BRZ and the Toyota 86 and the Scion FRS, those were all developed together, which reduced the development cost and spread it out over several different cars that sold pretty well. Your other option is to share parts and or platforms, and that's what Stellantis is planning on doing with these cars. My personal opinion on it, I don't love it. Stellantis seems like they're going from Mopar and Jeep and all of these cool brands that have their own identity, with like Mopar being these big, ridiculously powerful cars that are really cool, and then with Jeep you have these off-roaders that, while not super reliable, are like, they're great off-roaders. It seems like they're going from that cool brand with its identity to traffic, like normal traffic. I don't like it. Now, rant aside, Chrysler has said that the sedan or the family car will get up to 500 miles of range, which is pretty good. And on top of that, Stellantis has also said that this platform will support front-wheel drive, rear-wheel drive, and interestingly enough, all-wheel drive, which tells us the Charger might be built on that same platform. And in case you want to know more about the new Charger that's coming up, subscribe and watch out for the video that we have coming out this Friday on the new Charger. Anyway, Adam, you're up. Time for the RX-9.
Alright, you guys all remember the RX-7. It's beloved, specifically the FD RX-7. That one is especially loved. Y'all remember the RX-8. Not as loved as its older brother, but, you know, it's a rotary nonetheless. Well, Mazda has hinted, again, that they are going to do a rotary-powered sports car. Ever since 2012 when the RX-8 died, they've been hinting at this over and over and over and over and over. Mazda's been acting like this girl that they want all the benefits of a relationship but doesn't want to put in the work. So they want everyone to love them for the rotary sports car and how unique they are and everything, but they don't want to put in the money. This is all just rumors again. There's been no confirmation. They've just been hinting at it. And personally, I don't think they're going to make it. I'm doubtful. They have no trust. Ever since they got rid of the Mazda Speed sub-brand, they got rid of the RX-8, they've been hinting at these sporty cars, but they've been just doing luxury. And even those luxury cars, they're nice and all, but their touchscreens aren't even touchscreens. You need to control it via a little dial. With the EPA being so strict these days, it's hard to know how a rotary engine would pass emissions, and Mazda doesn't have good enough electric technology or vehicles to offset the emissions of a rotary engine. That's the whole reason it died back in 2012, because of emissions. The only model that Mazda has right now that's electric is a plug-in hybrid that gets less than 30 miles of range in a single charge, but it does have a rotary engine range extender. So supposedly that's where the rotary's coming from, is that range extender, but that range extender is going to be neutered and terribly underpowered and detuned so it can pass emissions again. I'm not convinced they're going to make an RX-9.
Next up, we have a story about Tesla and having parts failing, going back to why Hertz dropped a bunch of their cars. According to Reuters, over 10,000 Tesla owners reported suspension and or steering parts failing after a low number of miles and no significant abuse. What makes this interesting is that several of these customers had been blamed by the dealership and or repair shop for having pre-existing damage, when in the case of at least one specific customer, there was less than 150 miles on the dash. This comes after quotes from Elon saying that their cars are the best and that nothing can top them, and that you want the best even if you don't like Elon himself. Tesla's had these issues for a while. After all, there's been 10,000 parts failures, but it is interesting to hear Musk blame his customers for parts that he designed that are failing.
Acura has stated that they are going to be launching a new crossover SUV. This new crossover SUV is going to be a baby brother to both the RDX and the Integra. It should be entry-level model and a strong competitor to both the Q3 and the X1. Acura has been calling this a gateway product, so an entry vehicle into their lineup and their brand.
After news about that new Acura, you can't help but wonder exactly how it's going to sell. Well, I will tell you, one brand has been selling really well this year, and that's Lamborghini. They sold the most cars for their history, with over 10,000 individual cars sold this year. Over 6,000 of those cars were Urises, which isn't really surprising because it's the cheaper Lamborghini, which isn't particularly interesting, and it's what I would have expected personally, just because it fits a wider demographic of people. Because their Aventador was discontinued 2 years ago now, and the Revuelto isn't quite to customers yet. I mean, now it is, but it wasn't. Anyway, speaking of sales, 2023 is over, we're now in 2024, and we gotta take a look at the best-selling cars of 2023. So let's start with EVs. Coming in first place was the Tesla Model Y, with roughly 386,000 units sold. That's a lot of cars. Coming in second was the Tesla Model 3, with roughly 233,000 units sold. That's also a lot of cars. Now coming in third place, with less than a quarter of the Tesla Model Y sold, is the Chevy Bolt, which had about 62,000 units sold. On to trucks. The first best-selling truck in the US, which comes to nobody's surprise, is the Ford F-Series. There were over 745,000 units of this truck line sold, which just blows my mind. That is so many cars. Coming in second is the Chevy Silverado, which sold roughly 528,000 units. And coming in third is the Ram Truck Series, with over 443,000 units sold. So those are some pretty big numbers, which it makes me so happy to see that all of those are outselling the EVs, which even though personally I don't love trucks, I'm not a truck guy, I can still appreciate them more than a Tesla Model 3 with its suspension issues and its steering issues, the wheels that'll literally just fall off. Now, onto ICE family cars. The first best-selling ICE family car was the Toyota Camry, with roughly 288,000 units sold. To put that into perspective, the Tesla Model Y sold better than the Camry, which I don't love that, especially when their wheels will literally fall off. Coming in second was the Toyota Corolla with 228,000 units sold. This is also a pretty good number. They sold just about as many as the Model 3 did, by about 5,000 less. That's still a big number, but let's be honest, when you're talking in hundreds of thousands, 5,000 is not all that much. Anyway, coming in third, just shy of 200,000 cars sold, was the Honda Civic, which I really like the Type R. I think it's a great little car, a lot of fun, really quick around the track, so definitely a solid option for a family car as well.
Up next is the Hyundai Ionic 5 NPX1. Kind of a mouthful in my opinion, but it's this render of a Hyundai Ionic 5 with wider fenders, aggressive splitter, redesigned front end for airflow, and it has this massive wing and diffuser in the rear for just tons of airflow, downforce. and it should be an absolute weapon on track, rallycross, whatever they use it for.
Next up, Jim Farley, the CEO of Ford, says that the Mustang will not die. They will always sell a V8 in the Mustang. As a direct quote from him, "And if we're the only one on the planet making a V8 affordable sports car for everybody in the world, so be it." He also said that the Mustang is racing in 6 different continents on any day of the week in 2024. That's ridiculous. That's not countries, that's continents. And how many continents were there again? Oh yeah, 7. Which I think that's a pretty cool stat, that they're racing on most of the world.
Ford has decided to slow production on their new F-150 Lightning that came onto the scene just a few short years ago. The announcement came a few short months after GM postponed the opening of their EV truck plant. Lightning sales made up less than 3% of F-Series sales in 2023, and Ford has been losing about $36,000 for every Lightning sold, which is a huge loss. Finally, last point of the news this week, the Hyundai Ionic 5N has gone around the Nürburgring. The official lap time that was given is 7 minutes 45.59. This matches or beats the first generation R8, the Lamborghini Gallardo LP570-4 Superleggera, stupid long name, I don't know who came up with that, Ferrari 599, and the newest Golf R, the 2023 Golf R. This is all insane news. If this sounds super interesting to you and you're interested about the Hyundai Kia story and their current vehicles, both the trials and tribulations and the great things they've done, check out our last video we did. It came out just a few days ago. It's all about that story. Thank you all for watching through this video. If you made it to the end, you learned a lot today. Hopefully you had fun, and I'm new. I don't know what I'm doing. I was told to do the outro. So hopefully you guys come back in just a few days for our newest video. That's going to be on the newest Charger that just had photos released, and I don't know, what am I supposed to say? See ya, watch next time, I don't know. Buckle up, be safe, don't die.